Ladies, gentlemen, and beats, welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Alessa up here. And today, you read the title, you know what's going on. I'm going to show you how to create a Cutie VRoid avatar for $20 or less. That's right, disclaimer, this isn't going to be an exhaustive tutorial on how to use any of the tools mentioned. More like, this is me after a year of doing this, showing you tips and tricks that I learned along the way, so that hopefully, should you decide to join this madness, it'll be easier for you to find something quick and easy. Or maybe give you the lead you need to do some searching yourself. So, we're gonna cover 1. Where you can go to get assets for money and for free. We're going to show you how to use VRoid Studio quickly and easily. Then we'll do some slightly advanced techniques in Unity, as well as basic testing that you're going to want to do before you actually perform with your avatar. How exciting. I'm excited. Are you excited? Get excited! Without further ado, let's get started! Okay. So, a premier spot on the internet for you to find assets is called booth.pm. It's a Japanese hosted website associated with the lovely artist collective called Pixiv. You need a Pixiv account in order to do anything on Booth, so you should get that out of the way now. And for future reference, everything I'm going to cover here will be linked down below in the description. Now Booth, the easiest way to find VRoid anything is to search VRoid. Honestly. It also helps if you know how to spell. Now, I already have a list put together of what I'm going to demonstrate today, but as a intro into Booth and how you can use this website, it's very straightforward. If you're searching based on VRoid with some other key terms, you'll quickly find what you're looking for. But for a quick example, we'll just look at this model here. And pro tip, if you're in Google Chrome, right click and then hit the translate to English option. There is a good mix of both English and Japanese language stuff here. And the Google Translate is mostly okay. You'll get the gist of what's being described. And for this particular item, you're gonna want to pay attention to the description because they will tell you what you are buying. And then you need to pay attention to, if they offer it here, the terms of service. Because not everything on this website can be used for streaming or other monetary purposes without explicit permission. Remember that. You don't want to get your stuff taken down via copyright because you didn't pay attention. Always pay attention! Another thing I'm going to point out now is that everything on this website is sold with Japanese yen. You're going to have to do the math on your own to figure out what the conversion rate is. Typically in the United States, 100 yen is usually about $1, depending on how the market looks. And I'm not going to go into details about that here. We're just going to treat 100 yen as $1. So this is $4 for this lovely set. Beautiful. So what do we need to create a beautiful, a gorgeous, a cutie avatar? We're going to start with a model. Now, you can go into this with your own model if you want to. I'm going to try to show you how much easier it's gotten to create your own Vtuber avatar based purely on stuff you can find here on Booth. Now, the lovely Vtanjo. Okay guys, I'm gonna have to ask you to look respectfully at a few of the photos here, please, if you will. Vtanjo, they are a lovely artist. They are the one who put me together. Recently, as in maybe a few weeks ago, they put together this base model. You get an entire VRoid model in their style, including skin texture, face texture, eye texture, and just the default, what do you call that? It's like the lowest level of the hair. I don't remember what that's called, but you get all that. for the low price of $5. You don't have to use this, but I'm going to because this character I'm demonstrating for you today is going to become the newest member of the Alessa Peer family. I'm excited to introduce you to her, but before I can do that, we gotta make her, right? So, basically what this is gonna give you is a VRoid file, which you can use in VRoid Studio to make and change anything you want. And again, terms of service. Remember, if you're going to use someone else's work, you must give them credit. Credit to your artist, tip your artist, etc. Also, don't pretend that you made this yourself. Good? Good. This space, I love it. But it's missing something critical. Hair! What are we going to do about that? Well, I found another artist on this website by the name of Cutie Shop, and they have provided a rare hairstyle that I don't really see often in the VTuber world. Maybe it's because I don't pay attention, but this hair has a ponytail, and I love it. And it is made to be a cat girl, but I'm going to show you how you could maybe not be a cat girl if you don't want. It's a real easy modification, and it's allowable in the terms of service. Right! This is also going to be a quick how to use hair that you didn't make yourself, that someone provided for you. Hopefully that'll help you. I know it helped me, even though I learned this technique, I don't know, too many months after I started. So we got the basic body stuff out of the way, but we do need clothes because you cannot stream naked on Twitch. So let's start. Well, let me back up here. The texture work that was done by Tanjiro, it's amazing. Like, I would stick with it if I didn't already find something else I want to use. That being retro style skin. Look! She looks so cute, so nostalgic. It's like a 90s anime all over again. And also, bonus. This artist gives you, how would you describe it? Fantasy flavors, as well as extras to tie the rest of the model together. Except for the iris. Oh, wait! There's more! This artist also does various shades of irises to pair up nicely with this skin texture. It's also only $1.50, so it's a steal. I wanted to use this as an opportunity to say that for almost no money, you can make any model pop if you're willing to put in work to do texturing, or you find someone that's already done the texture work. Because look at this. Now imagine this laid over this model work. It's gonna pop. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love it. But we still can't stream naked, obviously. So we need clothes. So we're gonna start with ta-da! There goes the monetization. So this is not really something you need, but for me, personally, it feels weird having a character that's not wearing underwear, especially if they're going to be wearing a dress. That's just a personal thing. I mean, you do you. And also, free! This is an example of free! And this artist is, this artist, they have their terms of service within their store page. And it's pretty much the same as everyone else. Don't claim the work as your own. Modifications are okay. If you're gonna... Oh, well, this is actually a pretty good example of someone who does not want you to redistribute or sell their work. Commercial use is not good. Does this count as commercial use? No, because I'm not monetized. I'm only using this as a demonstration. But remember, streaming counts as monetization. So does photography if you're selling the photos, including like on a subscription service like Patreon or something. Remember, respect your artists and you will go far. it goes to show, just because it's free doesn't mean it's free. Moving on. I found a nice, cute pair of socks to go along with these. Thigh highs, of course. This character, oh my god, I can't wait to reveal her. And this artist, Fella Kitty. No, this is Kupopo Shop again. Kupopo Shop created these wonderful belts that go over the thighs so that legs are secured and ready to go. Ready for action! Wait. Forget I said that. Now, the main clothing was done by the lovely Taquito Shop. And because of the theme for this new character, this new member of my family, this crescent moon, it was just too good to pass up. And a little hint for what's coming up soon, this is going to be a very good example of how you're not always going to get exactly what you want with VRoid, especially when it comes to posing. You'll see it when we get there. And the last two things. First, combat boots. These were both inexpensive as well as very not brand recognizable. They're like a cross between Chuck Taylor's and Doc Martens, and I love that. And they also have that nice heel look. And I think with the look we're going with this new character, combat boots and dress, so good! But that's not all. The piece de resistance. Accessories! Accessories, accessories, accessories. This is where I'm going to show you a little bit about how you can easily use Unity with your VRoid. And we're going to give our new character a choker and some earrings. Something I forgot to point out is that each one of these items are slightly different things, and we'll quickly go back to it because that's kind of important to know. So, like I said before, this is a VRM file. No, this is a VRoid file. You must use this in VRoid Studio. The hair is also going to be a VRoid file. So usage is pretty much the same, and we'll cover how to import it into VRoid Studio soon. This, and pretty much everything to this point are all textures, and they're PNGs, and they're designed to work specifically with VRoid Studio, so you don't have to do anything extra. No Photoshop, no nothing. You just throw it in there and it'll work. It's wonderful! This right here, though, this is custom model work. The artist is giving them in the FBX format as well as the Unity format. So if you wanted to, you could work with this stuff in Blender. I don't recommend it unless you're good or unless you're comfortable with Blender. We're not going to cover that in this video because it's way too advanced to talk about in less than hopefully an hour. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm sorry. I've noticed over time that I tend to drag on unnecessarily on tangents that nobody really likes. Most people are probably skipping over it. I can already see you hovering over the timeline to skip this. How dare you? I thought we had something. And yet, you go and slap me in the face with your cursor. Anyway. This, again, won't be comprehensive, but hopefully it'll be enough to show you how easy it can be after you get some practice in and maybe encourage you to do a little more research. So, now that we have what we want to build our brand new avatar, what tools are we going to need on our PC? Well, if you're not already doing VTubing on your own, the easiest way to start is with VRoid Studio. But VRoid Studio is provided by Pictive. I don't know if they're the developers, but they offer it. And it's compatible with Windows and Mac. And you can also, if you're a lazy butt, get it on Steam. It's free. Get it. Even if you're not going to do anything I'm showing you today. They come with built-in avatars that you can just mess around with. Just don't stream with them. The way I like to describe this tool, it's basically the Sims creator on steroids, because you can modify everything for the most part. There are limitations, but not enough to make what you're trying to do impossible, unless you're trying to do something very specific that we can't talk about here. Don't add. Also, disclaimer, I don't make VRoid avatars. Not for money, not for free. Don't add. That is your PSA for the day. Something else you're going to want to go ahead and download now if you're going to follow along. You're going to want to go ahead and go to the Unity website, specifically the releases, which sometimes I know where I'm going, sometimes I know what I'm doing. The thing about Unity and using it with VRoid is that a lot of the work you're going to do is sensitive to version number. It's because we're going to be using a plugin, a very specific plugin that I will cover shortly. So when you come to the website and you go to the releases to download, you can download a standalone version of Unity, or you can get what they call the Unity Hub, which acts like a launcher so that you can have more than one version on your computer easily. It's up to you which way you decide to go about that. I use the Hub because sometimes I need to go back to an older version to get something to work. Long story, too complicated for today. You should just focus on going with the 2023 LTS release. I'm using 2020.3.0.1, but you can actually use this plugin you need to more accurately select the version you're going to use. What plugin is that? UniVRM! You can get this on GitHub. I'm not actually aware if they have like a website to explain all this. They probably do. They'd have to. Anyway, UniVRM is a plugin for Unity that allows you to import and export VRoid models quickly and easily and painlessly. It also adds in a bunch of stuff you need in Unity to be able to do anything with VRoid. In this video, I'm going to be using version 0.64, but if we go to the release page, I think they're at 0.8. They're at 0.81. I normally don't recommend going with the latest version of this plugin because this is still technically like a beta release. So it might not be very stable, especially if you're going to be using older VRoid type things. Use your own discretion when you decide to download the plugin. 0.64 has been pretty stable, as has 0.63. And also, when you go here to download the plugin, it's immediately going to tell you what version of Unity it recommends you use with it. And in this case, 2019.4.long-term support version, that's what they recommend as the minimum. That does mean that you can go with 2020.3 LPX, which is what I use. That covers the basics of what we need to get on the browser. We're going to go ahead and move on into the VRoid Studio section. And I'm going to quickly show you how to import custom models, import custom hairs, and then put everything together and export. It's going to be quick. I'm not going to take any breaks for questions. If you have questions, you can ask them at the end of the class, okay? Okay! Welcome back, class. This is VRoid Studio. I forgot to mention, I'm using version 13.2 for a very specific reason. It's the only way I can get this face over. Feel free to use whatever version works with your model. I recommend that if you're going to follow along, go ahead and open this once. You're only going to have the sample models out here. Your custom models section probably won't have anything. By opening the program, you're going to prepare the file structure that we're going to have to modify. First things first. If you are going to download anything from Boot, you're going to get zip files or WAR files downloaded. Try to organize them someplace, like in one place that's easy to find, because you're going to do a lot of file management before you even get to the fun stuff. I won't be sharing my Windows Explorer for reasons. I will say that a lot of the artists on Boot, they provide you with a README that's very detailed and tells you exactly what you need to do. I'll do my best to verbalize what you gotta do, but if you're a visual learner, I apologize. Let's start by importing the Vtuber base model. To do this, go ahead and extract what you got from Boot. When you unpack it, you are going to be given what is called Vtuber base.VRoid. You're going to want to copy this file into a very specific place. That's going to be somewhere in your user directory on Windows. For most people, that's under the C drive, but if you have a custom install, well, you probably already know where to go. For everyone else, go ahead and open C, then users, then whatever your username is, then go to documents, then VRoid, and finally avatars. This is where all your custom avatars are going to go. Go ahead and copy the vtango base.vroid file here. Okay, you're done. While you're at it, if you decided to download a hair preset that comes as a .vroid file, go ahead and copy that over here now. Once that's done, reboot VRoid Studio. Changes will not take effect until this program reboots. As you can see, I already have the Vtango base installed here, as well as the Kupovo shop calls it cat ears short ponytail. The first thing we want to do, if we're going to use this hairstyle, we need to make it a preset in VRoid Studio. And it's really simple to do. What you gotta do is open up the cat ears short ponytail VRoid. If you're new to VRoid Studio, middle mouse click lets you move the avatar. The right click spins, and the wheel on your mouse zooms. Very easy. So, if we're gonna use this hair on our new model, you want to start in the very top. Go to hair editor. Here we have all of the hair that was given to us by the lovely Kupovo shop. To use this as a preset on something else, you're going to want to hit the button Save as Preset. Once you do that, you can verify that it was added by dropping down this menu on the top left under the preset section, and you should see a new item was added to this list. I'm not going to do it now because I think I already got 2 different copies of the same hairstyle here, and I think it's kind of a pain in the butt to clean up. Once it's on this list, you're good to go. Go ahead and reboot VRoid Studio. Alright, now that we have our hair preset ready to go ahead and open the Vtango base. As soon as you have this open, I want you to do File, and then Save As, and then give this new avatar a brand new name. Why are we doing this? Well, any changes you make to the base file itself is going to affect that file. And if you ever want to revert back to this, well, you've ruined your backup. The only way to back up is to do all of your work in its own avatar file. That way, should you fuck up, you can always revert all the way back to the base and start again fresh. The first thing we're going to go ahead and set up on our brand new avatar is the texturing for the face, the skin, the eyes, and all the action. And doing so is very, 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 very easy. Right now, we are starting in the face editor. So if we're going to change anything on the face, we simply have to go into this left side and the texture section. Give it a minute to load, and it did. Fella Kitty, who did this textures we're going to use, has given us several different files to change several different parts of it. The work we're going to do is going to replace all of Tanjiro's work, but it's not going to replace everything. It's not a total conversion. A lot of the texturing from the OG model will still shine through, and it will still mesh with the retro aesthetic, I think. You'll see. So Fella Kitty gave us a brand new mouth, sclera, eyeline, irises, and finally, the skin. Actually, they also gave us a highlight. So I'm just gonna unfold those so I can keep track of what I still need to change. Now, the easiest way to go about changing textures is in a non-destructive way, is to not delete anything. Just go ahead and right click and toggle visibility on what you see there below the guide. And then add a new layer to import whatever it is you're changing. And it does help if you name these things so you can keep track of what you're doing. A lot of people don't because they're not going to really mess with this stuff too much, but I do it because I'm anal. They used to call me Anal Girl in college. Why did I say that? Anyway. Let me go ahead and get this. So the first one is tongue. and sclera. Now, I'm probably going to skip through most of this quickly so that you don't have to sit here and watch me dawdle. But before we go into the little fast forward bit, I just want to point out that notice how the mouth is still what's visible in the editor, but I'm trying to mess around with the sclera. When you move to different parts of the body you're going to change, make sure you actually click into one of these layers to update the editor. If you don't, all the work you're going to do is going to go into the previous section, and you're going to get lost and confused and frustrated and want to give up ever doing an avatar of your own. Patience. Fast forward bit! And there you have it. The entire face is now using the retro aesthetic. Isn't she cute? Now at this point, if you wanted to do any custom work on the face, you can feel free to do so. You can paint on the model itself, or you can paint on the flat version of the texture file. This is everything we're going to be doing for the face. So let's move on to the body. We'll go straight to the body editor. No, you know what? Change the plans. We're gonna go in order. Let's head over to the hair editor. Now, since we added a preset for that hair that Photoshop created, it's actually going to also affect this hair back. So there shouldn't be any clashing when we change it. But we'll find out for sure soon. That's not the right one. There she is. Look at her. Brand new hair. I don't really see the blue sticking out. I did say I did not want a Neko girl. So how do we hide the ears? Well, this artist was a doll. They actually named the group Cat Ears. So if we go down to the hair groups section and navigate to Cat Ears, you'll see a little eyeball with a slash pop up. If you click that, it hides it, and you're good. You're done. This is ready to go. Ponytail only. Let's go! Now, let's work on the body. Not in that way. The first, most obvious thing we need to do is we need to update the skin texture so it matches the face. And it's the same process. You go on the left texture menu, and then it defaults to the skin layer because that's the only layer here. And I confess to you guys that this is the third time I've recorded this. OBS was having a bad day yesterday, and I lost like 3 hours of recordings, including an entire evening where I tried to wait for it to render absolutely anything. It didn't want to do anything. It was terrible. And just like that, our avatar is kind of lewd, but she's ready to go. So before the YouTube police lock me up, let's put some clothes on her. A dirty secret about VRoid is that a lot of clothing is actually added from this section alone. If you want form-fitting clothes that are easy to put together, typically you can find stuff like t-shirts, tank tops, and bathing suits, all easily able to be basically layered on top of your base skin layer. Well, I guess it should be obvious. If you do clothing that way, there won't be any physics, nothing will be flowy, but it is easier to get more detailed or complex things done using just body paint. I leave it to you to decide what you want to do. I'm kind of half and half with my default look. I don't know if you noticed, maybe you didn't because I'm never showing full body, but my shirt has physics where my pants don't. It's magic. So, you basically do the same process to add clothing layers to the body. And I'm just going to quickly add 2. Because we need to make her decent for the dress. But we also want to give her thigh high. Because why not? And this is a good time to point out that even the clothes are in the proper location. For the most part, if you go through Booth, everyone on there has properly exported their stuff for the most part for VRoid. If it says VRoid anywhere in the name, if it says anything else, it's probably VR chat or custom work that you're gonna have to fiddle on your own with to get the work. Good luck to you should you choose to do that. I did attempt it early on, and let me tell you, VR chat, textures and models, also Miku dance stuff, their formats are so different. It's almost not worth trying to convert it. It takes way too long. Then again, maybe I'm just an inexperienced, impatient, someone who doesn't deserve something nice, ever. Maybe that's it. Ring! And done! This is all the work we're going to do on the body. Next step, clothes! So let's go ahead and get into the clothing editor. Before we can mess with textures, we do need to put on the base clothing objects. And the clothes that I chose for this tutorial, they do use stuff that's built in, so it's easy to apply. And it also gives you the freedom to do any custom deformation, which we are going to do, and I'll show you why. So for the top, the t-shirt that I picked, we're going to go with the long coat. And then the boots, they go on high-cut sneakers. And also, if for whatever reason these boots get taken off, let me actually show you. At this point, even though she has the thigh highs on, her toes look like she's wearing toe socks, which is kind of creeping me out. To fix that, you do it in this little menu here, toe shape. I typically do sock flat. But you could, if you wanted to, do angled. And it will make sense if the shoes they're wearing have a kind of chunky heel. But I think flat's gonna work out for the boots. Not loafers. There we go. These are the basic clothing models we're going to use to both do custom deformations and apply our custom textures. So let's start with the textures first, because once we see what it looks like painted on, then we can decide how we're going to change what its shape is. And the texture editor, well, you've already seen it 3 times. Same process. Alright. Texture work is complete. We could call it good there, but this t-shirt isn't really long enough to be a dress. Well, on most websites, it's not long enough to be a dress. Ahem. So, let's make it a dress. We're just gonna click back onto the clothing category, and we're gonna mess a little bit with the deformations. Specifically, and I'm gonna make this wider. We're gonna make the waist narrow in the corset region by like 30. Okay. Then the length, we're actually gonna go to 300. And then the flare, we're just gonna touch that up a little bit. And now we're not gonna do that. There's our dress. Very simple deformation. Alternatively, if you wanted to, you could go into the texture and you could just paint it to be longer. But if we add the actual skirt available here, you can kind of see that we're only like an inch or 2 off of their standard length skirt. Which to me feels like this is long enough to be considered a dress. What do you think? Let me know in chat if I'm a baka. We're going to be able to further test out if this is enough real soon here. But one thing I do want to point out before we move on is that these boots. So they have a lovely chunky heel and good separation between the front and the back. But in order to do that, the artist had to basically delete the center section completely. For most VTubing activities, this isn't going to be a problem because you're never going to see the feet. But if you take photos or you animate, you have to be aware that some looks, in order to make them possible in VRoid, you have to take some shortcut. And this model will not be good for picking. But the boots are made for walking, and that's just what they're going to do. Now that we have our basic avatar ready to go, we can go ahead and head into the camera exporter. As you use VRoid Studio, you're going to be visiting this a lot because you can do all of your testing here for the most part. And that's not only movement and animation, but also you can test your expressions. I'm not going to cover how to do custom expressions in this, but if you go, I think it's either the face editor or the general editor, you can make custom what they call blend shape. But by default, you only get like 5. Oh, and this surprise is actually a good thing to point out with the hair. So this lovely hairstyle Fupopo Shop created, it has a slight flaw. 2 of the hair groups dagger them out quite severely. Before I recorded this, I did try to make some modifications to eliminate this problem, but I wasn't able to isolate the hair groups from everything else, and everything I did just made the hair look really dumb and ugly. So I'm leaving them there because this model that I'm creating is mostly going to be used in photo, and for most of like the photographic angles, even the photographic expressions, smiling, you're not going to be able to see that weirdness. But there will be some occasions where, like if you're looking from below, or sometimes if you catch her straight on, you can see it. For photos, it's easy to fix, but if you were going to stream with this character, you're either going to want to fix this issue yourself or reach out to the artist to see if they can patch it. Those are my tips. Your mileage may vary with everything you get on Booth. Just be aware that not everything's perfect, but if you get it for free, well, you can't complain. If you paid a few bucks for it, you only paid a few bucks for it. This ain't no $800 commission that you can speak to the manager about. Is that an appropriate way of putting that? I don't know. I'm sorry, managers out there. Okay. So, moving on from the blend shapes, the only other thing I want to show you is the posing and animation. Now, VRoid and VRoid Studio, it's a free program. And so you should know that the clothes are not going to be perfect. Especially this long coat. Now, I've worked with the long coat on several different costumes for my character, and in every costume, the shoulders will always bust through the seam. And I've done, I don't know how many different, I spent so many hours trying to account for that, both here in VRoid Studio and in Blender. And the only thing you could do if this was truly the worst thing in your life that you had to fix is to basically put this thing in Blender and create a mask so that this part of the body is transparent. So when it clips, you see nothing. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to worry about it. You can work around it. And there's some clipping right there at the hip. Basically, these default animations are going to give you a chance to see the model in all angles so that you can get an idea of what kind of posing you can do, what kind of posing you should avoid, or how much cleanup work you're gonna have to do in your end product, be it photos, videos, whatever. There's this one pose, this one. I also want to point out that there's a capture button here, and you can quickly and easily take photos from VRoid Studio without having to use anything else. This, I think, also allows you to import backgrounds if you want. I don't remember how to do that, but you could pretty much get a photo shoot done here using all the default animations or poses, or even custom poses. There's a pose mode, and you could do just about any pose you want. Well, that's kind of an S pose. A cursed S pose. But as you can see, it looks like she's in midair flying, but if you change where the camera is, you can make it look like she's on the floor. In that cute, oops, I fell over pose. Ooh woo, I'm such a klutz. Oh whoa. You know what I'm talking about. I actually haven't been using VRoid Studio for photos for a while now, because of all the custom work I've been doing on models, but this is the fastest way to get into taking snapshots. And if you don't have a background, these do come out with like a transparent background, and they come out as a PNG. So you can use it in the photo editor of your choice to add additional flavor to your photo. What a weird way to describe that. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to quickly cover exporting a model. So typically, what I like to do is I leave this polygon reduction thing alone. I turn off combine hair match in the second one, and the third one I leave alone. Then I export. You only need to have a name and an author. I also advise adding in contact information and a version so you keep track of your work. It's the demo. Then in permissions, I would advise doing explicitly authorized or author only, and then I always allow those, and then you leave the default everywhere else. This adds metadata to your model so that in the event it ends up on the internet for whatever reason, if you see your stuff out there, you should be able to identify that it's yours. Exporting gives you a .vrm file, which is the standard model file, which can be used in many motion capture software like VCFace, Fluppit, what's the other one? 310, you name it, you can use it there. I did say we're going to do a bit of Unity work, so let's go ahead and move on to this. Welcome back, class! I hope you had a successful break. Now we're getting into the business of doing the Unity side of things. Now, this won't be a comprehensive tutorial on how to use Unity with VRoid, but it is my hope that I will teach you enough to maybe pique your interest and get you to look up more YouTube videos from other creators who have also done this. So to get started, the first thing I want to point out is that I've already opened Unity, obviously. I use Unity Hub so I can quickly put together projects. You don't have to go about doing it that way. I would just say, go ahead and open a brand new Unity project to the version we talked about in the beginning. In this case, I'm using 2020.3.0F1. It's severely out of date, but for this demo, it's good enough. Next, you'll see at the bottom here, we have a project tab selected. It's open by default. Most of what we're going to do is going to involve this section here. And I'm hoping that it isn't too small on the video. Looking at the preview though, it looks kind of small, so sorry about that. In order to work with VRoid, we need to include the VRoid plugin into this project. To do that, it's as easy as dragging and dropping it from wherever you downloaded it. So I've got that over here to the side. It should be called UniVRM whatever version you have, .unity package. You're going to want to drag and drop this into the projects tab underneath assets, which should already be selected when you opened it. if it wasn't selected, or if you clicked on something, just make sure that over here on the left side, that assets folder is selected. And then drag and drop the plugin. And it'll shoot you along. And it should give you an import Unity project window, which you can't see here, but I can. Just go with all the defaults and hit the import button. And then Unity will do its thing, depending on your system. This may take anywhere from a minute to many minutes. And with the magic of editing, our plugin is ready to go. You can confirm it's installed in 2 ways. First, in the project tab, you should see something below scenes that says Unity GLTF, VRM, and VRM shader. And then at the top menu, you should have an option that says VRM 0. Now, with this plugin, we can import the model we just completed in VRoid Studio. Full disclosure, at time of recording, VRoid Studio has come out of beta into its quote-unquote full release. So what we've already talked about in this video might be slightly out of date. I apologize for that, but well, time never stops. So, we're ready to get our VRoid into the project, but how do you do that? There are a few ways. I like to use the VRM 0 option, which you can't see, but it should be in the Windows toolbar if you're on Windows. It's as easy as clicking that and clicking the import button. And then you're going to have to, using the Window Explorer, find wherever your model is exported to. For me, that's a little bit of a trip, so please allow me to talk about almost nothing for a second. Blah, 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 blah. Once you select the VRM file, it's going to pop up a new Window Explorer where you're going to save it within the project. At this step, I do suggest, and I haven't seen this in any other video, but you should save it into a subdirectory underneath the asset folder. This is because when you import it, it's going to generate a whole bunch of files. And it's going to make the assets really confusing if, like, you're not very familiar with this process. So I'm going to go ahead and put everything under a folder called default. You can do as you like. Once you hit save, Unity will do its thing. And once again, depending on your system, this will take between 1 and more than 1 minute. Once it is imported, if you go back to this project tab at the bottom, you should see within that subdirectory you created, if we like expand it, a bunch of folders. And if we actually click on it, you're going to see everything the VRM came with, including the model itself, which is now a prefab asset. In order to work on this, we need to put this in the scene, which is this section here you see in the middle. The easiest way to get it to the exact right spot in Unity is to drag and drop whatever your prefab is called into this hierarchy tab. Once you do it like magic, it's in the scene! And to get closer to it, you use your middle mouse wheel to zoom. Then you click the middle mouse wheel to move. And then you can move the angle of what you're looking at with the right click. There she is. Now, Unity is like magic. You can do almost anything you want to a VRM and still export it in the right format. But it is limited. For today's demo, I'm going to include a way to add an already built model onto a VRM. But other things you can do, just for some ideas, you can change the color of anything that already exists, like the hair, or if you have an alternate skin that you wanted to use on the body, you can do that. You could change how their clothes look, assuming you change the texture to something that's going to map onto this correctly. Anything more complicated than that is either going to require going back to VRoid Studio to do, or it's going to require some custom model work, which we won't be covering. For today's demo, we are going to attach the jewelry that I displayed earlier. And lucky for us, it comes in a Unity package. Now, how do we import the Unity package into Unity? If you said drag and drop, you get today's gold star! So I'm just going to go ahead and get that going. And just like the UniVRM plugin, when you import this specific jewelry set, everything is going to go underneath its own little folder, so it'll be nice and organized. And, well, it actually might take a while to import like everything else, so fast forward! Now, as you can see in the project tab, we have a new folder called accessory set to something else. What is that? SH. And when we click on it, inside this tab here, we can see it contains a material, the model as a FBX, the model as a prefab, and then the texture. And you can see here that something doesn't look right. For those of you not familiar, whenever something is colored magenta in Unity, it means there's an error. And just because I've already done this demonstration like about 10 times on my own, I know that the error here is that the material is set to use the wrong shader. Now, that's a lot of work. Let me try to explain. So, when I click on the material, over here on this inspector tab in the right, it populated a whole bunch of stuff. Well, what's important to look at is the very top shader line. It's looking to use something called Unity Chan Toon Shader. Something. That we don't have. But we do have a toon shader that VRoid expects us to use. To set that, it is as easy as opening this drop-down menu, finding VRM, and then clicking M2. Once that is set, magenta's gone, and the texture is properly mapping. Everything else in this inspector, you can probably leave alone, because it's been prepared for you already. Now, we want to put this jewelry on our VRoid. Just like with the VRoid itself, we're going to want to drag and drop the prefab into the scene. You'll see it pop up on the hierarchy like this, and then you should also see it show up on the scene. And as you can see, it looks kind of weird. And for this particular model, it was developed for a specific VRoid that someone has created, so that it could be plug and play with that. In our case, we're going to have to do some model deformation to get it to work. And it's not as hard as it sounds. Immediately when we select this, you see that there's these little arrows that show up. These are going to allow us to move this model and roughly estimate where it should go on the VRoid. And it's as easy as just clicking and dragging. But one thing you should immediately notice already, or you might have already noticed, is that it doesn't appear to be the right side. In order to resize something, you have to use what is called the scale tool, which is in this toolbar of squares, or button squares. The scale tool is the box with an arrow in it. Once you click that, the arrows change to boxes. And in order to scale this, we're going to want to use this center box here. This will do proportional scaling, which scales all directions exactly the same. If you try to use these individual boxes, you will deform the model and you'll ruin the proportion, which might end up making it look ugly. So, go for the white box. And just click and drag until it looks right. As you can see, as we scale it, everything does misalign. But that's easily remedied by going back to the move tool and repositioning and doing some turny turns and making sure things are about where you think they should be. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should look natural. Just go with your gut. That's what I do. And it is slightly too large in one direction. But to account for that, we might just push it forward a little. That looks about right. And I might just raise it just a little. And I'm basing the scaling right now completely off of the choker, because the way this model was packaged, everything exists in the same group. So whenever we scale the choker, we scale everything. And that's good, because it means that when you're done scaling, everything should be proportional to each other, and it should look natural. It should look as the artist intended. But you can always individually scale these things if you want stuff to be different sizes. Like, this is a big chunky earring, but if you really wanted it to be cute and small, you could do that. Now that we have things relatively in the position we want them, you will notice that there are a few things that are kind of strange. So first, this chain is like inside the feature. Next, the earring isn't quite on the ear. And then last, that bracelet is out in space. We can individually move objects to account for all of this. To do so, you're going to want to go into the hierarchy, expand it, and then click on the object you want to work on. We will start with the necklace. And this one, we just got to push out just a little bit to get it outside of the feature. And as you can see, back here we got a lot of space to work with, so we'll just drag this until it looks like it's all the way out. And we'll check our work. Now, this is clipping into the shoulder. So, let's go ahead and move it up just a little bit. That might have been too much. Okay. About right there. Alright, necklace is outside the shirt, and it's not clipping the shoulder. Perfect! Now, obviously this doesn't look like it's sitting correctly on the shoulder here, the exposed shoulder. This model doesn't come with any bones whatsoever, so it's kind of frozen solid. If you wanted this to look a little more natural, you would have to do some custom model work on your own. That's outside the scope of today's demo, but just know the option is out there. But for what we got, I think it looks pretty good. Especially from, like, bust distance. You also have to keep in mind that if you were going to broadcast with this model, the people watching are mostly going to be seeing this angle. I would suggest that try to spend enough time to where this angle looks the best. And you can kind of hide your crime, so to speak, from the backside. Like, you see how the chain kind of looks a little wonky. That stuff will be hidden. And unless you're doing, like, 3D photo shoots, it don't matter. Now, let's go ahead and fix this earring. Which, I'm no Unity expert, so finding the right angle to see the earring is always a challenge for me. Okay, about right here. And we want to click earring, and we want to find our arrow is. So, that's the wrong one. This one. So, this footnote. And then down. As you can see, this model barely has any earlobes, so positioning it is like, you kind of have to guess where someone would pierce the earlobe this small. And I think about right there works. Well, maybe a bit more this way. And this way. Then move around a little. It does clip into the back of the hair, but like I said, that probably won't be seen by anyone. I would say that's pretty good. Now, finally, the bracelet! Well, confession. I already know this bracelet is not going to work for us. So this is going to be a good example on how you can remove parts of the model you don't really want to use. To do this, you need to select the root of whatever you're working with so that the inspector updates to that. And then on this right side, you're going to want to go ahead and click the open button next to the prefab. What do you call that? Title? Once opened, you're in the prefab editor, which looks slightly different. This allows you to modify all kinds of things about a model that I don't fully understand. What I do understand is that in this section in Unity, if we were to say select the bracelet and hit delete, it's gone forever. To return out of the prefab editor into the normal scene editor, you just go to this hierarchy section and you hit the tiny little arrow below the plus sign. Done! Now look at that. But wait, there's more! Even though this model is in the same scene as our VRoid, it is not yet part of the VRoid. There's a whole lot of complexities behind the scenes going on here, but simply put, we need to make this jewelry live with the VRoid. How do you do that? Easy! Drag and drop. But what? Well, the first thing you want to do is, in the hierarchy, click the arrow next to your VRoid, whatever it's named. Mine's Demo 3. And the section we want to pay attention to is the root. The root is like the skeleton of your VRoid. It is how it moves and how objects react to it. What our job is now is to place this jewelry about where it should exist within the skeleton that drives our VRoid. Now, the skeleton itself is not very complex. If I open it up down to like this section, you can see that below the root, there's really only a few bones that make everything move. What we want to try to find is the bones around the jewelry that are probably going to most influence it. Right now, our choices are basically the head, the neck, and the chest. And for this demo, we're just going to say that the neck bone is probably going to be what affects these pieces the most. And VRM has a strange naming scheme, but it does have neck at the end. So that is the bone you want to find. Now, to add the jewelry to this VRoid, you simply drag and drop the entire thing until neck is highlighted, and boom, it's added. Now, when we export this, everything, including the jewelry, will be moved. And when we do our testing, you will see that as the neck joint moves, the jewelry will move with it. Now, if you're doing something a little more complex, we won't get into that in today's demo, but I will say there are a few more minor steps you will have to follow, including setting up spring bones so that the colliders, which are these little spheres, will interact properly with whatever it is you added. Let's say you had long hair, like I do. Each hair does have a bone group, and with that, we can make it to where the hair and the head will bounce off each other instead of collide and look ugly. Kinda like mine. You see how, like, well, my hair's kind of stiff, it doesn't really flow. But the stuff that's in my face, you see how it wiggles? It never really goes inside the head, does it? That's because there's a spring bone that specifically tells it to always bounce off the head, never go through the head. And another example might be my hands. I can't really get them too close together, but they do bounce off each other. Animation is hard. I'm sorry! Needless to say, I did follow a tutorial when preparing the final reveal in this video, and that tutorial is linked in the description. I suggest you go follow that channel because they produce the finest VRoid content on YouTube. Some of the finest content anyway. There are a lot of good creators out there that do stuff way more detailed and more gooder than me. But anyway, the final thing we need to do in order to use this VRoid with its brand new jewelry set is export it. So first what I want to do is just minimize that, and I'm going to make sure I select the VRoid. Number 2, in the inspector on the right side, you want to go ahead and make sure that in the transform box, which is the very first thing underneath all the prefab buttons, make sure position is 000, rotation is 000, and scale is 111. Always, always, always do that. This model has to be in the exact middle of the scene for everything to work right. And now we can export. The most straightforward way of doing this is again to use the VRM0 menu option and hit the export UniVRM dash whatever version you have installed. This will pop up a VRM exporter window, and you're not going to be able to see it, but I'll try to walk you through the most important things to fill out. First, set language to English if you speak English, or you could keep it in Japanese mode. If you keep it in Japanese mode, like it just did it there, but I'm kind of blocking it, the VRM like plugins that go along with the Unity stuff will be in Japanese. I forgot something. Before we export, one fun little thing I learned from one of the many VRoid YouTubers. If, like I am right now, if you want your eyes to follow wherever you're looking, you're going to want to do one little update to your model. So make sure you have it clicked in the hierarchy. Then on the inspector, you're going to want to scroll down to the VRM look at head script, which my head is blocked. Let me move just a second. That one. In the field that is called target, click the double circle button next to none. This will pop up the select transform window. In the search box, type main, and then click main camera. Now in the head field, also click the double circle next to the word none. And in the search field, type head. Okay, you're done. With this set, your eyes, whatever tracking software you're using, if it tracked eyes, wherever your eyes move, your VRoid eyes should follow. And depending on how you created your model in VRoid Studio, it might be a little different. I noticed that my eyes, they tend to go a little bit higher than normal. which is fine. I don't know, I like it. Anyway, other things you might want to do before exporting. Aside from that, you could modify some of your secondary spring bones. Like, the most popular one people like to mess with is the bust. And things you can do is, one, if you want to prevent your arms from colliding with your chest, you can add collider groups, which you can drag and drop. The easiest way to do that is, with your secondary selected, go to this black bar next to the inspector tab and hit the lock button. That'll make sure that if you click anything else, this won't change. Next, open up the root and then open up all the way until the items you want to be on top of your colliders. So for this example, we'll just focus on the arms and hands. And I'm going to control click upper arm, lower arm, and hand on both sides. And then I'm going to drag and drop this over to the collider groups underneath the bust spring bone. And those will pop up as so. And what this means is that now, once we export this, anytime a hand, a lower arm, or an upper arm potentially collides with chest, they should bounce and it shouldn't clip through. Depending on your shape, this may or may not be something useful for you. Also, stiffness force is how you manage gravity of things, so use your imagination. Moving on! I'm going to close that. I'm going to make sure the VRM is selected in the hierarchy. And then I'm going to go to the VRM 0 menu option and select Export UniVRM version number. And set language to English. And most of this data will be pre-populated based on what you entered in VRoid Studio. But if, let's say, this is the third time we've done this out of 10, we could update the version number. And if this is, say, something we're doing for someone else, we could update the permissions. These other tabs, you don't really have to mess with. Mesh, definitely not. Blend shapes, I wouldn't, unless you wanted the default expression to be something other than neutral. And export settings, I would say go ahead and go with the default settings for this. And then hit export. You will get a Window Explorer window asking you where you want to save this. And what I typically do is within the asset folder, I'll create a new one called tester. And I'll save it within there. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and rename this model just in case. Just in case I accidentally overwrite something. Unity will do its thing, and as a bonus, once the export is done, Unity is going to import it into this project. So if you got to, down the line, make any other adjustments, you can make them off what you already exported. One thing I will say as a tip, if you're not yet done with something, keep Unity open as long as possible within this same scene, so that it's way easier to make any fixes or adjustments on the fly. Otherwise, if you're going to do something new in the future, always do it from a brand new scene. In my experience, a lot of the problems I've encountered while learning how to work on VRoid within Unity, they always happen because I try to do everything in just the once. Turns out, deleting something out of the scene isn't enough to, remove issues. You also have to take into account everything you got in the assets folder that might also have to get scrubbed away. This is why it's important to stay organized and keep track of where everything's going. Anyway, this export concludes the Unity section of this video. I hope at least it was enough to remove a lot of the mystery around this in terms of VRoid, and maybe it'll get you to look up some more videos on the topic. Knowing the algorithm, YouTube probably has 70 videos lined up to recommend to you. I am so sorry. Now, when we test models, you have a lot of options what you can do. You can use applications like VC Face to test, or what was the other one? 310, Wakaru. I would say use the program you're most familiar with for testing. Otherwise, if you're like brand new, just go ahead and get 310 off Steam. It's perfect for testing and experimenting. When it comes to broadcasting, it's a little subpar, but only because of like the resolutions. It doesn't really provide, at least for me, high enough definition. But that's neither here nor there. Pick a program and go ahead and open it up. For us, we are going to test in 310 starting now. Welcome back, cuties! Well, as you can see, we're now in 310, a program that is free to get on Steam, and it could theoretically be used for VTubing if you'd like. Adding avatars is easy. It has an avatar selection screen, and if you've done this on other programs, it's pretty much the same. I've gone ahead and uploaded our demonstration, and she's ready for testing. So what can we do? Well, we can test to make sure all the facial expressions didn't get destroyed during our creation. And they're pretty much all there. Let's make her happy. More importantly, we can test poses! Let's not go with those. There we go. And as you can see, she's looking great. There is some issues here with the necklace clipping through the t-shirt. This would have to be something we'd go back into Unity to fix, through moving it so it's a little bit more forward, perhaps even clipping at the backside. But the good news is the choker works and the earrings work. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? More importantly, this has animations, so we can see the avatar in motion, and we can verify, look, the necklace is sitting right, the choker is joking, never mind, and the earrings are basically moving like we'd expect them to. Without any bone groups in there, they're not going to swing at all. They're going to be stiff, but maybe in the future we can learn how to add a bone group in there so that it actually behaves like a pair of earrings, or a single earring, a single lone earring. Let's make her run! Run for your life! Ah! Okay. I will point out that this program is pretty useful for testing animations. If you happen to know how to make those, you can import them here, but they have to be that BVH file format. That's what all of these are. And I think a lot of these were pulled directly from Unity somewhere, like Unity Chan. I did at one time have an animation I was working on, but it's been lost to time. But they have so many good animations, like the funny walk, the wave, the exaggerated wave! She's so cute. So while we're here, why don't I go ahead and introduce you to the official version of the brand new member of the Alessa Pure family. Ladies, gentlemen, and bees, say hello to the currently unnamed new family member. I'm calling her Suzy's pet for right now. It's a temporary name. But as you can see, just like Suzy, she is also a succubus. And she's really good at telling speeches. Go ahead, tell us a speech. There she goes. Now, we're officially done with the whole tutorial thing at this point. So, feel free to skip to the conclusion, but I just want to spend a few minutes idolizing my new character. I love her. It took almost no time to design this. The way she moves! Oh, fantastic. How about a dance? And she's not the same kind of succubus as Suzy. I don't know if it's because she is not as ancient, so she only has her one set of wings. Perhaps Suzy is so old that she started growing her second set of wings. Then again, I don't know if Suzy has a tail. I've never seen it. Or horns. Do you think Suzy would be cute with a tail and horns too? Let me know in the comments! Also, while you're there, why don't you give me a suggestion on what you would think this character would be named? I'm open to hearing all suggestions. The final vote of what we will call this new character will be conducted on my Discord server. And it's very important that you follow that server if you want to see the future photo shoots that will involve this character. That's right. She and Suzy will be teaming up on photos in the near future. Not in the next shoot though. There's still a few more things I need to do with this model to get it just right. So far, the basics of what she looks like is done. I do want to see if there's anything I can do to make the wings less strange. But I'm assuming so long as I make very simple animations, the wings shouldn't be too much of a bother, right? Also, I think I might have to make that dress a little bit longer. When I made this, during the tutorial we tried 300, right? I think this is set at 200. And you can see it's barely passing at the dress because of the whole shirt rips aesthetic. That might need to be changed, maybe. Or maybe not. I don't really see... Oh, never mind. Anyway. I'm so happy I got to finally show this character off to you guys. I've been planning this all month because I've been following artists on Booth forever. Ever since I even... No, not before I started VTubing. Ever since I started VTubing and was introduced to the website, I've just liked so many things, and I've been following everyone's work, and everyone's been getting so much better over time. And nowadays, if you really wanted to, you can buy a complete avatar for almost no money. And depending on the artist, you can use it for streaming, or you can only use it for personal projects. I don't know. I just really like the idea that this whole entire medium, it's been about as democratized as it can be, to where anyone can create absolutely anything they can. They just need to have the time and or the money to do so. And I feel like once you've created something you want, it'll be easier to start doing the content that you're trying to do. Because you don't have to worry about how you look or how you're animating. You can just get to work. And hopefully, by seeing these simple steps, you too can create a Cutie VRoid avatar for less, for $20 or less. Okay. Suzy's pet, you're a great dancer, but it's time for us to close up shop. Perhaps we will see you again another day. For now, goodbye! No, not you! Don't click off of this! ladies, gentlemen, and beats, it's been an absolute pleasure showing you my first ever tutorial. What did you think? Let me know in the comment. I'm not going to make it a habit to make more tutorials. This was kind of, it was an excuse to make a new avatar. I know. I was gonna create this avatar anyway on my own, but I figured I would give it a shot to try to do a tutorial to see how I like making these kind of videos. And I don't think I'm a fan of the full-blown, hyper-detailed tutorial. Something akin to what's linked below, which is a video by Suzy, who basically taught me through their video how to attach objects to your VRoid model. Full-blown hyper-detailed tutorials, they're not really my thing. What I was more interested in doing is basically giving you as many tips and tricks that I picked up over the year to help get you past any roadblocks you might be in, or maybe even clear up the fog that might be preventing you from wanting to explore this quote-unquote art form. Anyway, I'm so happy you made it to the end. Thank you for watching my video. Future videos are still in the works. The podcast is not completely dead, I promise. I have been spending more of my time this year learning everything I can about 3D models because I got super invested into photography with VRoid models. You can see those photos for free on Coffee. The link's right there. You don't have to donate or be a coffee drinker to see those photos. There are some pictures that don't make it there that you can only see on Discord. For a link to that, you will have to go to my Twitch page. Lastly, I love you guys. I hope to see you again on the next video. Please be happy, be healthy, and be safe out there. Until next time. Goodbye! Gothic is the summer! Gothic is the summer! Nailed it.